what did you eat? Okay, I didn't give her oatmeal. Nobody gave her oatmeal. And that's when it clicked. Welcome to today's video. I'm going to be talking about baby food allergies and food sensitivities because this is a part of my journey that as a mother I have not talked about yet because I don't know where to start. This all started back in, I think, December. We got Quinn a blood test to see if she has any of the common food allergens that children have. And come to find out, she's allergic to like, I don't know if it was 6 or 9 different things. It was a lot. And so during that time of my life, it was a lot to take in, the fact that my little baby had a lot of allergies, food allergies. And I really didn't know how to take it because she was at that point in her life where she was starting to try solids or like the purees. I first started her off with oatmeal, and the first day I gave her oatmeal, she really didn't like it. She was like, this is nasty, which is understandable. It's the first food she ever had, but she just wasn't eating it. And then finally when she got used to it, she vomited. I thought that it was because at the time she was sick, and I thought too much mucus got in her system and it upset her stomach, and so it caused her to vomit. And I was like, maybe that's why. So I'm gonna try the oatmeal again when she feels better. A few days later, I tried to give her oatmeal for the second time, and she vomited again. But it was more like it just kept coming up, like she just wouldn't stop. So I'm like, ooh, maybe her stomach hurts. I don't know what caused me to think this, but after about maybe twice, she was done. I think it was actually the third and final time I've given her oatmeal. About 2 hours later, she vomited really bad, to the point it was coming out of her nose as well. My mom was with me at the time. I was dropping some stuff up at her house, and she's seen it, and she was like, ooh, I would take her back home, maybe she's sick. And I'm like, that's weird, because the only thing that she had was oatmeal and breast milk. So after that, she did it again, which was in like a 10-minute span from the last time she did it. Came out of her nose. It was just so much, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's all her breast milk that she had. And then we waited about another 2 minutes. She did it again. My mom was like, you need to take her to the ER right now because she's just, it was just out of control. So as I was driving, my mom was in the back seat with Quinn to just keep an eye on her, and she was like vomiting up some more. My mom was like, she's still vomiting. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a lot. She's like, yes, it's a lot. And I think my mom noticed that she was, I don't know, I wouldn't say lethargic, I'm not sure, but she kept like, I guess, trying to go to sleep, or like she was just weak. And my mom was like, hey Quinnie, hey, trying to like get her attention. So I got to the ER and I took her out the car, and she was kind of like limpy, like she was like, oh, maybe she was exhausted from vomiting so much. So I took her to the front and I was like, hey, my infant won't stop vomiting. I told them I was scared because she wouldn't stop vomiting, and there is no way she has more food left in her body to keep vomiting. And they were like, okay, we're gonna get you in the back as soon as possible. And she started vomiting again in the lobby, and I asked them for her tray, and they gave me a tray. And within like 3 minutes, which it felt like forever, they got her in the back, and she was getting better. Kind of slowed down a little bit, but they kept an eye on her for a good 2 hours. The doctor was like, there must be a stomach bug going around because we really don't, she doesn't have a fever and she seems fine. She wants milk, she's hungry. I was like, but every time I give her the milk, she vomits, because I did give her breast milk while we were in the room waiting to see the doctor, because she vomited so much. I wanted something to be in her stomach, and I know like breast milk is kind of, you know, the cure-all for everything. She was like, okay, well, we'll keep an eye on her for about 2 hours and see how she does. Quinn took a whole nap, woke up, and she was in a good mood. She was fine. They gave her some baby Pedialyte. And during this whole situation, my mom was keeping an eye on the kids and calling me to make sure, because they were sitting out in the car waiting. And I was like, you know, it's gonna be about 2 hours. I would just go ahead and go home, and I'll have Brandon pick me up after he gets off work. And she was like, okay. Brandon came into the hospital. Quinn was doing fine. She wasn't vomiting anymore. So I took her to the pediatrician, and I told her about what happened. I said we had to take her to the ER because she was vomiting after she ate oatmeal. And so the pediatrician advised us not to give her oatmeal at the moment. She's like, substitute oatmeal for rice or like barley or any other grain, but just don't give her any more oatmeal. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I started giving her sweet potatoes. I'm like, okay, I can't give her oatmeal. Let me give her sweet potatoes. She didn't have a vomiting reaction with sweet potatoes, but it did make her break out in her eczema on her cheeks. And so I was like, let me slow down on sweet potatoes because it's causing some type of reaction in her gut, because anytime you have an eczema flare-up, it can relate to the gut. So I was just like, all right, let me slow down on that particular thing. I'm traumatized from when she had to be sent to the ER, when she had this whole oatmeal situation happen. Let me slow down on the sweet potatoes. So I fed her bananas. The first time she loved them. She loved bananas. She was eating them up. Num, num, num. They were so yummy for her. And then the second time she ate them, skip to the fifth. The fifth time Quinn had bananas, she vomited. I remember like it was yesterday. I given her bananas and some breast milk for dinner, and I was cleaning the dishes, and I noticed that she was getting tired. So I took her upstairs, put her in the bed, and went back downstairs and finished cleaning my dishes. I heard her screaming. It was like, ah, like she was mad. So I run upstairs and I'm like, Quinn, what's wrong? I pick her up and she's drenched wet. And I'm thinking like, were you sweating? Like, is it too hot? I need to turn the heater off. Something, because back then it was cold. I say back then, this was literally like, this is June? This was maybe 5 months ago. So I was like, are you too hot? Do you need a blanket off? And so I took off her clothes because she was drenched wet. As soon as I took her clothes off, she vomits again. Like she did in the hospital, like it's coming out of her nose, her mouth, and it's just coming with a vengeance. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did you eat? You didn't eat oatmeal. I'm thinking like, okay, I didn't give her oatmeal. Nobody gave her oatmeal. She didn't have any grain, nothing. Why? The only thing she had was banana, and that's when it clicked. I'm like, ooh, she had banana. I went in the bathroom, I washed her off, washed her face off. I gave her a little sponge bath. She vomited a good 2 more times and she was done. Not as many times as she did with the oatmeal. And she was done. All night I was like keeping an eye on her, because I was like, that is so crazy that happened. Like, it was insane. So the next day I called her pediatrician and I told her, hey, Quinn vomited like she did with the oatmeal with the banana. And that's when she was like, all right, I'm gonna write a lab request to get her blood drawn so you could get her a food allergen test. We're gonna test her for the common food allergens, and then we're also gonna test her for any requests that you have. So what else would you like to test her for? I said, can we test her for oatmeal, sweet potato, and banana? And she's like, yes. I'm like, okay, great. She goes and gets her blood work done. The results come in. She has an allergen to bananas. She has no allergen to oatmeal, which is crazy. And the sweet potatoes, no allergy to sweet potatoes. The banana thing, maybe that's what the throwing up came from, but the oatmeal is still, it's so mind-boggling to me, because I'm like, how? The reason why I was concerned is because one day I had ate chicken. That's another thing. I cannot eat chicken, because when I do eat chicken, her face breaks out really bad. I didn't know it was due to chicken until like, from like birth to like November, when she was almost 6 months old, I think. I didn't know that chicken made her break out in eczema. And ever since I stopped eating chicken, she has not had an eczema breakout in her cheeks since then. I've slowly started eating it again, and I can already see like bumps developing. So that tells me I still cannot eat chicken, even though she's over a year old. I still can't eat the chicken right now, so I'm breastfeeding her. But when she had that eczema breakout, I gave her Aveeno, like baby Aveeno hydrocortisone cream. And that has colloidal oatmeal in it. And when I put that on her cheeks, her face broke out in hives to the point where she woke up out of her sleep. She's already scratching in her sleep. I put that hydrocortisone cream on her cheeks, and she broke out in hives. She was itching so bad, it woke her up out of her sleep. It was all over her eyebrows, all over her face, her neck. I snatched her up so quick, and I took like the white dial soap, and I like washed her entire face with it. I rinsed it off with a nice warm wash rag, and after that I put the Era Organics cream on her face. It's my favorite cream. I put that on her face, and her face cleared up immediately. And I'm thinking to myself, why did her face break out? Why would it break out when I put hydrocortisone cream on her face to help it with the itching? I read the ingredients. Y'all, guess what is in? Guess what is in the hydrocortisone cream? Colloidal oatmeal. I'm like, what the heck? So a lot of the anti-itch creams have colloidal oatmeal in there. If you have an oatmeal allergy, be careful, because that can make it worse. So I'm digging and searching. I'm like, how come her oatmeal allergy or sensitivity didn't come up as an allergy when clearly something about oatmeal irritates her. Come to find out, my girl might have FPIES. I diagnosed her with that. I didn't say professional, but the way she's been, like, the characteristics of a person that has the FPIES syndrome, it's like her down to the T. Like, if she eats something that triggers it, she will not show any symptoms until an hour or two after the fact that she ate it. Or she won't show any symptoms until maybe about, I don't know, at least 3 times trying it. Like the banana, like she was fine eating bananas until we tried it for like the 5th time. That's when she was like, bleh, like threw it up. So that was within itself. I'm like, okay, any of these anti-itch creams, I have to be careful that it doesn't have colloidal oatmeal in there. And I've had I had so much trouble trying to find something to help her with her eczema when it has a flare up. I found Era Organics, and they do have oatmeal in their recipe, in their ingredients, but it's gluten-free oatmeal, gluten-free colloidal oatmeal, and that's the only thing she could use to help her stop itching. But she's not allergic to gluten because she can eat crackers. Like, I give her Ritz crackers all the time. She's had bread, she's had baby sandwiches. I make her little baby sandwiches. She had those before. So I really couldn't tell you. Like, this whole adventure has been insane. And I've been reading upon what triggers FPIES, what's a common trigger. And I've been avoiding those foods so much. And poultry is a common trigger. I've never given her chicken, but the fact that her face breaks out in eczema every time I eat chicken and I breastfeed her tells me I shouldn't give it to her. Also, she cannot have egg whites. She's allergic to egg whites to the point where if she does get egg whites, I have to carry around an EpiPen. She has an EpiPen, her own little EpiPen. You guys can't see that because the sun is sunning. So she has her own little EpiPen that I have to carry around. I put this in my diaper bag, and I probably need to leave one here at the house, which I will. I'll put it in the drawer, but I have one in my diaper bag. I actually wanted to do this on camera with y'all, and that is to look at the trainer. They have like a trainer that comes with the EpiPen. It says use this trainer to practice often. Pull up trainer from this case. This is my first time. I think I've been in such a, not denial, but like in shock that I haven't tried to train myself to use this properly. And I'm thinking, like, she's eating so much more foods now. I've been giving her safe foods for so long, which is pear, carrots, and squash. Like, that's all she ate for a good 4 months, that I just didn't even bother with this. So now that she's interested in eating more foods, I'm gonna go ahead and practice this on camera, and I'm nervous. It says pull trainer up from this case. So is
this trainer contains no needle or drug and is for training purposes only. Do not use this trainer during an allergic emergency. If you are ready to use, pull red safety guard down and off of this trainer. If not ready to use, replace the outer case.
It says pull red safety guard.
Do not use this trainer during an allergic emergency. If you are ready to use, pull red safety guard down and off of this trainer.
Place black end against outer thigh.
Not ready to use. Place black end against outer thigh. Then push firmly until you hear a click and hiss sound, and hold in place for 2 seconds. 2, 1. Training complete.
Yay! We did it!
This trainer may be reused for training purposes.
That was so cool. How was it, Mama? How was that? That's how we use it when you need an EpiPen, and then we call 911, right? We call 911 and we're like, hey, we have an allergic emergency. And then the ambulance comes and helps you. Uh-oh. I feel a lot better about being more open about this journey with me and Quinn. That's a hard thing to go through when your child has a food allergy, because you really don't want to do anything wrong. And it's that time where they're just like exploring foods, and I feel so bad when we're eating and she just wants to try everything we eat, and when she can't because she has food allergens. I do want to say, if you have multiple kids and they have food allergies, prepare your other kids. Like, I told my kids that they always want to share food with Quinn. They're like, hey, I cut up some banana, or I cut up some watermelon, and they always ask, can Quinnie eat this? I'm like, yes or no. And or I will make food and they're like, hey, can Quinnie try some of my blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, she cannot, she has food allergies or she's allergic. They're open to learn what she's allergic to. I remind them some of the foods that she's allergic to, and they remember. They're like, okay, Quinnie cannot have eggs, so anything with eggs in it they don't give to her, or they stay away from her. Quinnie can have some tree nuts, so they like, oh, you can't do tree nuts. She can't have dairy, so they're like, okay, she can't eat ice cream. But if they see like a plant-based ice cream in the store, they're like, hey, Quinnie can eat this. And I'm like, yeah, she can eat that. So it's really neat to see my kids also be part of her food journey and try to help her. I'm for sure gonna train my kids on how to use this as well, and my parents and my husband. Everybody's gonna practice this on Quinn, just in case, because you never know. I have a child who's old enough to like do things on her own, so if she happens to like cook something and I don't know, one of Quinn's food allergen is in the food and she gives it to her, you just never know. Even though they know her allergens, she might slip up and forget. You never know, but she can learn how to use this safely. And this also teaches the kids that this is not a toy. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope it helps somebody out there who child has a food sensitivity, or you have a food sensitivity. I will continue to share our journey. Now that I know a little bit more of what I'm doing, I will be happy to share our journey with y'all, and I will see y'all in the next video.